Hey, good morning, guys. Here's a quick little walkthrough video for today. Normally we don't do that with this, but we'll probably start doing a little more as we get into a few more complex items here. So today we're going to move into dependent clauses, all right? And we've kind of been setting you up for this already. And so what you've been doing with subordinating conjunctions the last 2 days, is that you have been creating dependent clauses, all right? And then in that little link that we gave you to do some research on a couple of days ago, you should have at least become aware of dependent clauses, all right? And so what we want you to understand about dependent clauses is this, is they're constructions that have a sub and a pred, just like an independent clause, all right, or a simple sentence. But unlike an independent clause, they can't stand alone. They are dependent upon the dependent clause, all right, which means they have to be attached to that independent clause, all right? They cannot exist independently, thus the terms dependent versus independent, okay? A simple sentence can stand alone, but once a dependent marker word, and I'll get to that in just a moment, is attached to a simple sentence, it becomes a dependent clause, if you will. All right. And a clause is just a construction that has a subject and a predicate. The difference is one can stand alone, one cannot. Dependent versus independent. All right. I'll not beat that dead horse. Okay. And so, anyway, in retrospect, what I wish I would have done is instead of calling them subordinating conjunctions, which sounds like a really scary term, I wish now we had called them dependent markers. All right. Because they make dependent clauses. Okay. And so as you're starting to look for dependent clauses, you're trying to start identifying them in the sentences that we give you. Look for the markers first. Okay. And the dependent clauses that we're going to be working with are called adverb clauses. All right. And they are formed by connecting dependent markers to simple sentences, making them dependent. Here are some common dependent markers, all right? This list in red down here, all right? We want you to put all of this in your personal grammar growth resource notes, all right? Here is an example of a dependent marker being attached to a simple sentence to make it a dependent clause, all right? Um, the term dependent marker is simpler, all right? When I attach the word because to it, all right, I make it dependent. The simple sentence, the term dependent marker is simpler, can stand alone. But once I put because on it, it cannot. Because the term dependent marker is simpler, all right, it wants to be finished, okay? And as if you think back to our work with fragments, oftentimes, all right, dependent clauses, which are used alone, are really fragments because they have not been attached to an independent clause, all right, to bring them into grammatical existence, if you will. Okay, I know this is a lot of terminology. I know this is a lot of jargon. All right, but I think you'll find that the work that we're going to have you do is a little less complicated. All right. So, for example, I got to move my face here. All right. This is the work that we're going to have you do today. Okay. And so here are three sentences. And in those three sentences, we want you to identify the dependent clauses. And we want you to do that by finding the markers first. Okay. And so in this example, after school gets out, I'm going to Papa Murphy's. I know that after, all right, is one of the dependent marker words. Okay. And so I am going to look for it. I find it. Okay. And then I see that I have a dependent clause here, which has been attached to school gets out. All right. So after school gets out becomes my dependent clause. I'm going to highlight that, and then I'm going to make bold the dependent marker word. Okay. And that's what we want you to do down here. All right. Once you have done that, we want you to check your answers down here. There will be a short explanation video for why the answers are what they are. And we want you to remember this, okay? We're going to continue to work through this and with this, okay? You don't need to be experts today. You just need to be exposed to this so you can become more experienced from this. And that's kind of the whole goal here with the exposure and experience approach to grammar, all right? I think you'll find today's activity not to be as complicated as it may sound, all right? If you need help, reach out, all right? And again, we're just doing this to get more experienced each and every time we do. Okay, peace out, my friends.